Have you ever seen these trees? If so, then you are a lucky person to be alive and able to read this. Nature gives us signs if something dangerous is about to happen, and this is a very disturbing sign. Learn about all signs in this article and continue reading if you want to discover what happens if these trees show up. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. In nature, the most unexpected things can happen if you're not careful enough. And we bet that you did not know about these crazy natural phenomena. Make sure to read it and be prepared. If you're cloud watching outside and you see long streaks of rotating clouds stretching into the main thunderstorm, don't call out it's a snake and keep naming shapes. Find shelter. Preferably, get away from windows and in a basement because a tornado might form soon. These streaks are called inflow bands, and their presence indicates the storm is drawing in low-level air from far away. As far back as 373 BC Greece, people have reported that animals like rats, snakes, and insects flee their homes days before a large earthquake shakes the land. But so far these stories are not backed by science. Scientists don't know what the animals are detecting if they are actually sensing anything. It's also pretty hard to study their behavior right before an earthquake. If you're walking along the beach in the Ring of Fire, aka the coasts along much of the Pacific Ocean, and the water starts receding, you may be in trouble. Are the coral reefs uncovered? Don't waste any time looking at flopping fishes or pretty corals. Get to high ground as fast as possible. A tsunami is likely on the way. Lying on the grass and watching fluffy white clouds may be a calming way to pass the time, but if you find yourself watching a wall cloud, get to shelter. Wall clouds sit lower than the rest of the thunderstorm and can be up to 5 miles long. But these formations can mean danger because if the cloud is rotating, it could produce a destructive tornado. If you see a channel of choppy water on the beach, seaweed and debris moving away from the shore in a particular area, a section of discolored water, or a gap in the line of waves, it's likely that a deadly rip current lies beneath the water's surface. Commonly, though mistakenly, called riptides, rip currents are very fast, powerful channels of water flowing away from shore. Rip currents kill over 100 people in the US every year and are responsible for most lifeguard rescues. Alternatively, if you see birds and mammals flying and running toward you, there might be a wildfire behind them. Some animals, like amphibians, stay in the fire, burrowing underground to escape it, but others run as fast as they can. Of course, if you see smoke, that's also a pretty good indicator of wildfire. Lightning strikes may seem like the unicorns of natural threats, but more people die each year from lightning than unprovoked shark attacks. While the annual deaths have been declining greatly since the 1940s, it's all because people are more aware of the danger and, medical advancements. So if your hair starts standing on end and your jewelry starts buzzing, lightning is probably about to strike very close to you. In the off chance that you're out in the ocean and you see a bunch of sharks swimming deeper in the water, it's likely that a hurricane or tropical storm is approaching. They are probably sensing the drop in barometric pressure that accompanies the storm and trying to get out of the hectic zone. If it's been raining a lot, you're near a stream or river, and you hear a roar of rushing water, get to high ground immediately. It's likely that a flash flood is about to spill out in front of you, and considering that floods are the second most deadly form of severe air in the US, you don't want to be caught in it. Have you ever seen a heavenly glow around the sun or a mysterious halo around the moon? These rings are formed when very thin, high-up cirrus clouds drift above you. The clouds are made up of tiny ice crystals that split and reflect the light, thus making a ring around the sun or moon. But since cirrus clouds often come before a storm, the ring can be a sign that rain is on its way in the next day or two. One deceased animal on the beach probably means nothing for your health, but if you see a lot of fish or other animals, the water might be toxic. It's possible that a red tide is congregating in the water near the beach. Red tides happen all over the world, but one algae species causes them in the Gulf of Mexico. Dogs are great at telling you things, even if they can't speak our language. So if your dog is sniffing or licking a particular part of your body more than usual, you should probably get it checked out. Dogs have such a powerful nose that they can sniff out evidence of cancer. Skiing is all fun and games until a devastating avalanche tumbles down the mountain. They can be impossible to escape, as the snow can move as quickly as 80 miles an hour and people generally sink in the snow. But if you see the signs beforehand, perhaps you can avoid getting caught in the disaster. If it's been raining a lot, and you see the water level in a stream or river rising, a flood is probably on its way. Plus, the water may be brownish and muddy from the quick-moving water eroding the surrounding sediment. Usually, the ocean has a beautiful and calming sound that plenty of people like to sleep to, but on occasion, it roars like a train. If you hear this unusual sound, chances are that a tsunami is coming toward you. The ocean is dangerous enough without a tsunami rushing at the coast, so get away immediately. A thunderstorm may appear green because the setting sun's red light is intermingling with the blue light under the storm. The green color indicates that this thundercloud is extremely tall and warns that a tornado or hail may be coming soon. If a lake is located in a very hot environment that never cools and is near volcanoes, it could be the equivalent of a viciously shaken soda can just waiting to pop. The magma underground might be pushing carbon dioxide into the bottom of the lakes, where there's a ton of pressure. Since it's hot year-round, the lake never mixes and the gas never gets a chance to escape. This oceanic pattern doesn't even seem possible, but it occurs when two wave systems run into each other. One of the wave systems continued despite the wind shifting, creating what is called a cross sea. But as neat as they may be to look at, they can be incredibly dangerous for ships, surfers, and swimmers. Have you ever been hiking in the woods when you saw a patch of trees bent into a J shape? You may have escaped a very dangerous situation since that's a sign of an upcoming landslide. The ground is moving very slowly, making the trees grow in the odd shape. Fallstreak holes, otherwise known as punch hole clouds, are often attributed to UFOs because they form a large circular gap in clouds that appears as if an alien ship just took off. They form in mid to high level clouds made of tiny water droplets, surrounded by below freezing temperatures but have not yet frozen. Airplanes passing through the cloud help the supercooled water droplets freeze. Sinkholes may sound like a cool, dramatic thing from a disaster movie, but you certainly don't want to find yourself falling into one. They're most common in areas with limestone below ground because it can dissolve in water. Excessive rain or water supply use can cause the ground to collapse. If you're near a river, lake, or ocean and the water is green, scummy, or smells bad, stay out of it. Don't go in or let your pets or children take a dip. An algal bloom is happening in the water, which means there is a lot more algae than normal thriving near the surface. There are plenty of beautiful caves along beaches that are only accessible when the tide is low. You might find yourself wandering along the coast and curiously exploring a gaping cavern, but be careful. If the tide comes in, you might be trapped in a watery doom. Of course, one of the more famous warning signs in nature is the rattlesnake's rattle. Situated at the end of their tail, the rattle is made up of keratin segments, which is the same stuff that makes up our fingernails. When vibrated, these segments knock into each other to make the buzzing sound. There's a common saying that the color of the sky can predict the weather. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. The red color comes from the sunlight bouncing off water vapor and dust particles in the air, which can indicate the weather. So since weather generally moves from west to east, the time of the red sky can partially predict the coming weather. Red skies at night indicate good weather coming in, because the dust particles generally mean there's a high pressure system. Volcanoes can be very cool to visit, but as the infamous story of Pompeii tells us, they can be just as deadly. So how can you tell if one is about to erupt? Well, there will probably be small earthquakes under the volcano. Plus, it could swell and release more heat and gas. But these signs are kind of hard for the average person to notice. While funnel cake brings joy and giddiness, funnel clouds bring fear and danger. They are cone-shaped clouds that protrude out of storms but don't touch the ground. Like any cloud, funnel clouds are made of water droplets condensed together. If it's rotating, the cloud may turn into a tornado. The most deadly of mushrooms belong to the Amanita genus, which includes the destroying angel and deathcap. The destroying angel is all white, while the deathcap can range from yellow to brown to white on top. Most amanitas live near trees though, so it's best to not eat any mushroom living near a tree. While we certainly hope you aren't in the habit of eating random animals in the wild, predators have to do just that. But when they see bright colors like red, orange, or yellow, they know to stay away from that prey. Some animals evolve to have this warning coloration because they're dangerous and they want predators to know that. A falling tree can be dangerous to your life or your wallet if it falls on you or anything you own. To avoid the damage, check the trees near your house. There are a variety of signs the tree is unhealthy and could fall over. For example, does it have deep cracks in the bark or is it missing sections of bark? More people die each year from cows than sharks, so you should pay attention to their behavior when around these animals. If a cow or bull is pawing at the ground or snorting, you should get something between the two of you, like a tree or feeding trough. Bulls are notoriously dangerous, but cows can be dangerous too, especially if they have calves. Frogs are famous for their croak, but if you've heard them croaking a lot more than usual, it might be because it's about to rain. The frogs are calling out to potential mates because they have to lay their eggs in water. They just want to be ready for when all the small ponds fill up with water and become perfect little nurseries. So, yes, the frogs are singing in the rain, but they're also kissing in the rain. All of Key and Peele's black ice jokes aside, the stuff is a nightmare. Black ice is not black, but particularly clear ice that you can hardly see, which makes it dangerous. It can be dangerous if you're walking on it, and just as bad if not worse if you're driving on it. If you're driving in the southwest United States and see a cloud of dust coming your way, you should safely drive off the road if possible. Get away from the thoroughfare, turn on your emergency brake, and turn off your car's lights. Dust storms can cause massive car accidents, so you want to get away from the other cars. While a skunk spray is hardly life-threatening, it is deeply unpleasant, so avoid it if you can. Since skunks celebrate Valentine's Day, mating season is February in Northern California. However, skunks have limited spray, so they warn you first so as not to waste any of it. You're on thin ice, maybe a fun jab at someone who's annoying you, but it certainly is not a situation you would want to find yourself in. If you're going to try and ice skate or simply walk on a frozen lake, which is a very peculiar experience, you should first make sure it's safe. When around bees, the most important thing to do is not swat them or threaten them. However, bees are attracted to sweet-smelling and bright things, and accidents do happen. But while getting stung may seem the end of it, since honeybees die after stinging mammals, it isn't always. If you're in Yellowstone National Park and see one of the beautifully colored hot springs, don't get any closer. Going in the pool could be deadly, since they're often at scalding temperatures of 200 degrees Fahrenheit or more. A hot tub, by comparison, is usually at 105 degrees or under. When trekking through bear country, it's always best to be on the lookout for bears or signs of them. You might see paw prints in the mud that are large with 5 toes and claws. They're vaguely diamond-shaped. You also might see scratch marks on trees nearby. Generally, don't eat random things in nature unless you're sure what's what. There are several kinds of nondescript red berries that are poisonous to humans. Holly berries can cause vomiting, dogwood berries are often eaten by birds but are not safe for humans, and cotoneaster berries can cause seizures. While coal miners once used canaries to check for poisonous gases underground, scientists are now looking to ecosystem canaries to check the health of an ecosystem. These species are not canaries and maybe not even birds at all, but species that have started dying even before the entire ecosystem collapses. One of the first signs of climate change is the shifting of animal and plant ranges. A range is an area where a species naturally occurs based on the temperature, rainfall, humidity, and other natural factors. But as these factors are altered by climate change, animals and plants are moving out of their normal ranges. Perhaps the last time you saw Quicksand was in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which featured several glaring misconceptions about how it worked. The thing is, you can't drown in quicksand and you shouldn't grab a rope or snake to pull yourself out. While it's unclear if animals leave before an earthquake, if all the golden-winged warblers suddenly fly away, it's possible a severe tornado is on its way. In April 2014, researchers were tracking a group of these birds in Tennessee, when suddenly they weren't in Tennessee anymore. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.